Welcome, everyone, with Greg Roth and the ambassador, David Eby. This is yours truly, Eric Glazer, and this is your Sharp Squares podcast for week 5 of the 2025-26 season. The last week, our Sharps in aggregate were 51.7%. Little bit of adjustment to the algorithm by yours truly, and we've got a 3-2 medal game record, a 3-2 pick 5 record, and a 2-1 earning 5 of 6 points in 3-2-1. Is that a coincidence?
Good job, Eric.
Probably, but I'll take credit for at least 1 week. All right. We know that doesn't erase the debacle of the first 4 weeks of the season, but it's a start. We stopped the bleeding. We've got an interesting and simple week this week. Actually, it's not so simple. We're going to explain it all to you during a segment we call Gold, Silver, Bronze. And to provide you that information reliably as he does each and every week, even when he's on the road, is everyone's favorite fellow degenerate, the Greg Roth.
Eric, thank you so much. Good to see you, Ambassador. Can we have back-to-back winning weeks?
This is the first time we've all been in our home offices at the same time in 3 weeks now. So
I hope it's good luck.
Let's go.
We have 4 medal games. I got a feeling
3 medal games. 3 medal games and 1 with an asterisk.
I have a feeling people are going to love some of these selections. Maybe not so much. I could see some commentary. But we go for 2 weeks in a row of a winning record. 4 medal games. There's 1 gold game, 1 silver game, and 2 bronze games. The gold game, the top-rated game, the pick. It's the Denver Broncos. They're plus 4.5. They're in Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. I feel like we've been against the Eagles 3 weeks in a row now, 4 weeks in a row. My memory's not that good, but we've been rooting against the Eagles. Ross Tucker, Marco.
By the way, folks, I gotta say, we work tirelessly in pre-production. Not once did Greg mention that. So of course we don't have the true answer on that. Like now I have to scramble to get it. I mean, you put me on the spot.
Well, we had the heartbreak 2 weeks ago against the Rams.
That's for sure. And then
last week, I don't remember, but
we lost. We lost. We took the Bucks.
So you're saying that my memory's not bad?
Yeah, 0-2 right there.
Well, here we go again. The Broncos are plus 4.5 in Philadelphia to take on those Eagles. Ross Tucker, Marco D'Angelo, Cleve TA, Chris Raybon, and Steve Fezzik all picked Denver. Jeff Schwartz did take the Eagles. There's a silver game. I know some of you are going to love it. The pick. It's the New York Jets. They're plus 2.5. They are hosting the Dallas Cowboys. Whale Capper, Kelly Stewart, Cleve TA, Stuckey, Steve Fezzik, Rob Pizzola all picked the Jets. Marty Herney in dissent took Dallas. 2 bronze games. The top-rated bronze game, the pick, is the New Orleans Saints. They're minus 1.5, hosting the New York Giants. Gianni the Greek, Cleve TA, Adam Chernoff, and the Favorites podcast all took New Orleans. Nobody picked the Giants.
Sharp or square? We got to call it right.
Sharp or Square podcast is the Favorites podcast. Also Simon Hunter and Chad Millman. The last medal game, the pick, is the Baltimore Ravens. They're plus 1.5. They're hosting the Houston Texans. Adam Chernoff, Mike Renner, Gil Alexander all picked Baltimore. There was quite a bit of dissent on Houston from Ross Tucker, Rob Pizzola, and the aforementioned Sharp Square podcast.
Sharp
or Square. I just think we should just say Simon Millman and Chad, or Simon Hunter and Chad Millman, make it easier. There was an asterisk, as you noted, Eric, on that game. Why don't you go ahead and explain what that asterisk means?
So,
have we ever had a medal game that also
definitely
earned an asterisk? It earned medal status and earned an asterisk.
I think everyone knows what's coming. So the line was adjusted a little bit. People were anticipating that Lamar could be out. The line was, but So the line even at 1.5. Some of these guys, when they took the line early in the week, some of these sharps, one or two in particular, took the line at Ravens minus 1.5. So now it's plus 1.5 when we're making our pick. So if you've taken the Ravens at minus 1.5 and we're getting a much better line at plus 1.5, that game gets weighted highly because of the line adjustments we've put into our algorithm. But that line moved because their quarterback's out. And even though it's not a full movement for the full value of Lamar Jackson, because the 1.5, that even the minus 1.5 was an adjustment because of the injury, it still artificially puts the Ravens into our medal status. So we say all that you have to make a decision on if you want to take that information and go with it or not.
To recap, the Broncos at plus 4.5 are gold. The Jets plus 2.5 are silver. The Saints minus 1.5 and the Ravens plus 1.5 are bronze. Those are 4 of our 5 pick 5 games, those 4 medal games.
Before you move on, Greg, Evie, did I explain that okay, or was I confusing?
That was confusing, but I'm easily confused.
And he might not have been listening.
Okay.
I was half listening.
Have ChatGPT break it down for you guys.
You got 4 medal games. Those are going to be 4 of our 5 pick 5 picks. 3, 2, 1 really quickly. Third week in a row, no line changes. Our top 3 games become our 3, 2, 1 games. That's the Broncos at 3, the Jets at 2, and the Saints at 1. Our 5th pick 5 game is not a medal game. It's the first time this year we've had to go outside the medal status for our pick 5. The next highest rated game on the board, again, not close to medal status. We just usually follow whatever that next highest rated game is. It happens to be the Minnesota Vikings. They're minus 3.5 in Cleveland to take on the Browns. Mackenzie Rivers, Adam Chernoff, and Jeff Schwartz pick Minnesota. Stuckey, Todd Wishnow, and Marty Herney took Cleveland. Ambassador Todd Wishnev. I saw your grimace
for once
on that. I'll make that mistake. I'll keep making that mistake again. So Minnesota rounds out our pick 5 to go along with those 4 medal games. But again, Minnesota not a pick.
Right. And let me also add that the Panthers at plus 1.5 and the Chargers at minus 2.5 were virtual statistical dead heats with the Vikings. There was a few hundredths of a point separating those aforementioned games and the Vikings game. So we may even switch off. We'll post it on X if we switch it over the next 48 hours. I guess if that's all you're looking for, and that was a lot, you are now all dismissed. And for those of you sticking around, we got some trends and we've got some handicapping highlights. Starting off with the chalk and the big favorites from the Action Network. 6-point plus favorites are 16, 2-1 straight up this season. The fewest losses through 4 weeks by big chalk since 1979. Greg Roth was a great kickball player back then. From week 13 last year onward, those same big favorites, folks, are 56, 6-1 straight up, 90.3% straight up, winning by approximately 14 points per game. Second set of trends is all about the Detroit Lions. They're on a heater, 50, 21-1 ATS since 2021. If you don't have your calculator, I'll do it for you. That's 70.4% ATS, the most dominant 5-year run against the spread in modern NFL history. And that's got to be, I remember with the Patriots, they were on a hell of a run. I'm still fading them. So unbelievable that the Lions are such a heater. This week, they are minus 10 at Cincinnati. Goff is 9-4 ATS is a double-digit favorite, and 3-0 ATS when Detroit is laying 10-plus points. Not sure why that's any different from 9-4 as a double-digit favorite. Maybe when he was with the Rams. Anyway, that's all per Bet Labs.
All right, now I've got a recurring trend. We had this last week. The public is just getting eaten alive this year. Teams with 60% or more of ticket share are 10-24 against the spread so far. That's the worst start for public selections in the 23-year Action Network database. Another metric, public teams, i.e., those receiving more than 51% of the bets, are 33, 24, and 3 against the spread this season. That's from Bet Labs, and you can find them at bet_labs on X, formerly Twitter. Carolina and Titans are free falling. The Panthers haven't covered as favorites since 2021. That's a 10-game straight up and against the spread skid. They're 3-13 against the spread as favorites since 2020. That's from the Action Network. And the Titans, in their last 25 games, they're 4-20-1 against the spread. The worst 25-game ATS stretch in the wild card era. That's per Evan Abrams at Evan H. Abrams. This week, you've got Tennessee plus 8.5 at Arizona.
Rounding out the trends, one that we had last week that didn't cover. The London games and international games. Historically, international favorites are 36-14-1 straight up and 32-19 against the spread. That's 63%. Although last week this trend didn't cover, the Vikings lost in Dublin while being 2.5-point favorites. They're back internationally in London, or I guess they never left. They are minus 3.5, as we mentioned, against Cleveland. Last trend balance in the ATS universe. For only the third time since 1990, we enter week 5 with no undefeated and no winless against the spread teams. The other years that happened were 2005, 2010, and now this year. That's from Evan Abrams. Sorry.
And those international trends were from John Ewing at Bet Labs. Great work. Our gold game, the Broncos plus 4.5, fading the Eagles as we have been doing. As Greg mentioned, here are sort of the consensus handicaps. First, Eagles are overrated despite their undefeated record. Multiple sharps highlighted that Philadelphia's 4-0 start has been driven by luck, block kicks, drop passes, turnover variance, and maybe even a thrown remote control at the Glazer household. Fezzik dropped the Eagles, noted that the Eagles have outgained. They've been outgained in yards per play every game. 4.1 yards per play versus 5.4 allowed. True line should be Philly minus 2.75, not the 3.5 that you're seeing out there. Cleve TA argued that Philly's metrics suggest also a 2 to 2.5 team win margin, not 4-0. Second sort of handicap grouping, the Broncos defense and offensive line have a matchup edge versus the Eagles. Denver's defense is a top 5 in EPA. Offensive line is one of the best in the NFL. Patrick Surtain expected to neutralize A.J. Brown, while Philly's offensive line struggles in run blocking. They're 31st in yards before contact. Ross Tucker and Steve Fezzik agreed that they liked Denver, calling it a field goal type game. Finally, the market and the situational angles also favor the Broncos. Underdogs versus undefeated favorites of less than 8 points cover 58% of the time against the number. That's since 2010. Sean Payton has covered 58%. ATS is a career underdog. And because of this market inflation due to the public overreaction, a lot of folks are saying the true number is closer to -2. Timestamps on this: Action Network, 4 minutes and 16 seconds, beating the book 37 minutes, 27 seconds. Dream Preview, 3 minutes, 23 seconds. I can't see that being correct. Even Money, 18 minutes, 59 seconds. And the GM Shuffle, 21 minutes and 30 seconds.
Our silver game is the Jets plus 2.5 versus the Cowboys. Our first key insight: the Jets defense creates matchup problems for the Cowboys. Several sharps emphasize that New York's elite pass rush and secondary can disrupt Dak Prescott and force Dallas into mistakes. Rob Pizzola highlighted the Jets' top 3 pressure rate, which matches up well against Dallas's offensive line issues. And Chris Raybon pointed to Sauce Gardner's ability to limit CeeDee Lamb, forcing Dallas to win with less efficient options. Second key consensus: market inflating Cowboys off recent results. Drew Dinsick said Dallas has feasted on weak opponents. The Jets defense is the toughest test they faced all year, and the market perception of Dallas as an NFC elite is overstated. The true number in this game should be closer to -3.5 to -4. Finally, the Jets' offense limitation keeps the ceiling capped. Ross Tucker cautioned that New York's offense may not score enough to fully capitalize on their defensive edge, and Todd Wishnev leaned to the under of 41.5, citing the Jets' offensive floor and defensive dominance, leading to a low variance game. Timestamps: Action Network 17:59, Beating the Book 42:18, Dream Preview 24:21, Deep Dive 31:16, Forward Progress 34:51, Even Money 14:40, and GM Shuffle 22:10.
Handicapping highlights of our bronze game, or one of the bronze games: the Baltimore Ravens +1.5 versus the Texans. The key insights. First one, Texans offensive line, a liability versus Ravens front. Multiple sharps flagged Houston's offensive line injuries and poor protection metrics as a serious mismatch against Baltimore's aggressive pass rush. Drew Dinsick emphasized Ravens' ability to generate pass pressure with forcing C.J. Stroud into hurried reads. Chris Raybon noted Houston ranks bottom 5 in sack rate allowed. That's a bad recipe against Baltimore's blitz packages. Second, consensus: Baltimore's ground game provides consistency. Ross Tucker said Houston's front seven has been gashed in multiple games. He predicts Baltimore controls the time of possession. There was a dissenting view on the Texans' passing upside from Todd Wishnev, who leaned the Texans. He cited C.J. Stroud's ability to hit chunk plays versus Baltimore, sometimes boom or bust. Secondary, more bust this year so far. He has a belief Houston's wide receiver trio, go Nico Collins, could create mismatches if Ravens pass rush doesn't get home. Timestamps: Action Network 12 minutes and 44 seconds. Dream Preview 9 minutes and 33 seconds. Deep Dive 19 minutes and 11 seconds. Even Money 15 minutes 28 seconds. And Wishnev's descent, he's getting a lot of play on this episode. His descent's on Beating the Book at 28 minutes 45 seconds.
All right. We are undefeated in the month of October, but nevertheless, none of us are truly sharp. So this is your Sharp Squares podcast.
Good luck out there.